Know that there's a way that you can sue your landlord for your security deposit. Now, I've actually done this myself before in the state of Florida. I'm not certain of the other policies and procedures in other states, but I'm assuming, they're similar in most cases involving court proceedings and whatnot. Other states have similar laws. Anyway, I'm certain for the state of Florida that you can sue your landlord or your property management company for whatever property you live in, whether you're renting a house, apartment complex, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the one thing that I'm certain of that is grounds for you receiving 100% of your security deposit is if within 30 days of you vacating your property, at the end of your lease, not just breaking your lease and up and leaving, but at the end of your lease, within 30 days of the termination of your lease, like say, for instance, your lease ends February 28th. So by March 30th or 31st, I'm not certain if there's 30 or 31 days in March. But anyway, within 30 days after you vacate your property, your property manager or your landlord is required to provide you with a written itemized statement of any deductions that they've taken from your security deposit to satisfy damages. Like say, for instance, when you left, you broke a set of blinds, or you had a dent or a scratch or something on the wall. Say, for instance, the carpet needed to be re-shampooed. And in most cases, landlords always find something wrong, just so they can keep a portion of your security deposit. So anyway, within 30 days of you vacating, they are required to send you an itemized list of, the deductions and the fees. So say, for instance, you paid a security deposit of, I don't know, $850. They should have like $50 for wall repair, $150 for, new set of blinds, $200 for carpet repair. So you should see all of that deducted from the $850 deposit that you paid. And then you should receive, anything less than that total amount of expenses, okay, within 30 days. So, say for instance, you don't hear from the landlord at all, which in my case is what happened. And I think they counted on me not knowing Florida real estate law, but in my spare time, I educate myself. I read real estate dictionaries, I read public record information online. That's just something that I do. So anyway, I left my apartment spotless. I went out and I bought new burner cover things, whatever those things are called. The things that you can't really get cleaned that much. But I went out and I bought new ones of those. I repainted. I filled any hole that I made in the wall as far as, hanging pictures, shampooed the rug. I left, I always do that. I leave a property the same way that I found it. So there was absolutely nothing wrong. So even when I, vacated the property at the end of my lease, I forwarded them my new address information. So anything they needed to send me, they would be able to send it to me. Well, I didn't, that was the only thing that I did in regards to attempting to get my security deposit back. And I did that for a reason. I didn't contact them within 30 days or whatever, because by law, they're supposed to contact me, especially since they had my updated address information, and I made a copy of that. And I waited until the 31st day. So I think, let me see, I think my lease expired February 28th. I waited until like the last day of March and then still didn't hear anything. I didn't call them or anything. I just immediately went downtown to the court office, and I did all this for free, mind you. I went downtown, and the same way that landlords are quick to, go downtown and file paperwork to have you evicted or whatever, you can do the same thing with them, only it's not an eviction. So what I did was, whenever, court fees and all of that, they're expensive. They pile up fast. So a lot of times, the city, state, whatever, they're not going to make money by letting you know that you can do all of this stuff for free, as far as like take people to court, take companies to court. they're not going to divulge that information. So you just kind of have to research yourself or take a look at my videos because I definitely try to educate people. Anyway, so okay, after the 31st day, I didn't say anything to the landlord. I didn't call him up and be like, "Hey, where's my, security deposit? I want my money back." Didn't do that. I went downtown. I filed what is called an indigent status form. And what that is, you can Google that word, indigent status, or you can Google indigent waiver. What it is it's a form you fill out. It's a one-page form, not even front and back, just front. And basically, it's an application to apply for indigent status, meaning that you want to file court proceedings, but you do not have the money to cover your expenses. So it asks things like, okay, what is your weekly take home pay if you have a job? And then, it'll ask, what are your expenses? Do you own a car? What's the value of it? Do you receive money by like SSI or any other government, you know, um, thing or whatever? So they ask all that or whatever. And, you go there, you fill that out, and then you hand that to the clerk. And she looks it over, and basically she asks you, is everything on this form true? So you say, yes, it's true. And she'll notarize it and approve you for it. And then at that point, you can continue to file your paperwork to get your security deposit back. Now, that is as far as the state of Florida is concerned, it is a separate department within that same courthouse that you have to do that, and then you have to go in another area to file the paperwork to basically take your landlord to court. So, okay, after you file for indigent status, the fee to file the paperwork to sue your landlord is waived, and it's like a couple $100 you're saving yourself. So, for Florida, if you do not know, like the exact property owner's name or whatever, or the management company, there's a website called sunbiz.org, and I believe that you can determine what their actual, legit name, DBA, doing business as name is. Okay, so once you figure that out, or if you know your landlord's exact name, you file the paperwork or whatever, and what happens is they get served by the sheriff of a court date, of the paperwork, and everything you file, they'll get a copy of it. So in my case, I stated, according to Florida real estate law, section such and such. I can't remember it right off. I am um, I am entitled to 100% of my security deposit from landlord such and such due to the fact that more than 30 days have passed, and like I said in the beginning, make a copy of any paperwork that you sent them. So I had a copy of a dated letter of my forwarding address to show, the judge that, hey, look, I followed my steps, step by step, and I provided them with the updated forwarding mailing address. So there's absolutely no reason why I should not have received an itemized statement showing where where my security deposit went, and for what expenses. So all of that paperwork, and it is a bit time consuming, a little bit, but you want to definitely make sure you have all of your paperwork included in your court documents before they actually get sent to the landlord. So in my case, I think I did that on a Friday in like early afternoon when I actually filed my paperwork. By Monday, I had gotten a call from my property management company where I stayed at, and they were just, oh, so nice. They're like, oh, yeah, we have your security deposit sitting right here in the office. We have your check right here. It's just that, we overlooked it and we didn't realize, we just kind of forgot. Okay, that's bull crap. They just didn't realize that I was smart enough to know what I was entitled to after the 31st day of me vacating the property. So they called me like, yeah, we have your check sitting right here. All you have to do is just pick it up. What happened was they got served their court papers in the mail, not in the mail, but by the sheriff's office, by the sheriff's officer, 9 a.m. first thing in the morning. Kind of like what happens if you were to get evicted. You get a knock on the door from the sheriff's officer, and he, serves you with eviction papers. Well, they, in a sense, have the same thing done to them. And they don't want that on public record that they've been served paperwork for withholding someone's security deposit illegally. So I'm like, okay, I'll be in, So I come into their office and she's like, well, you could have just called us and, asked for your security deposit. I was like, well, businesses, you guys, being that I'm in business myself, you always know when you owe money and you always know when you're owed money. So there's no forgetting or in between. So that's a bunch of hoopla. But I kept it very professional. And I got my security deposit, the entire amount of my security deposit. Now, here's the thing. I could have trashed and smashed up their property and whatnot, and all of the fees could have, amounted to my security deposit amount, say like $850. But because they didn't, give me that itemized statement of all of the deductions and the remaining portion of my security deposit within 30 days, they were entitled to give me 100% of my security deposit back. I didn't leave their apartment smashed or whatever and, damaged up. I'm just using that as an example because they didn't follow their rules. They're entitled to give 100% of the security deposit back. So they gave me a check, for my total amount of security deposit. However, they did want me to fill out a form stating that I was no longer going to proceed with the court procedures, because that would definitely damage, their credibility by that being public record. In Florida, it seems like almost everything is public record. Mugshots, bankruptcy, just everything is. So they were, really worried about that. So I'm like, sure, they gave me my check, so there's no reason I had to continue to go to court. So I'm like, yeah, I'll sign it. So I signed the form stating that I no longer wanted to proceed with the court procedures or whatever. So yes, you can get 100% of your security deposit back from your landlord. Just to sum it up, just go downtown, fill out the paperwork for indigent status. Now, this indigent status is actually good for 6 months at a time, and it's not just for taking your landlord to court. If you need to file child support proceedings, which can be pretty pricey. I think like $400 or $500. Even if you need to file for divorce, that's pretty expensive. This indigent status will cover all of those fees. Now, the only fees or monies you will have to pay out is to have your form notarized, and I think that's like $10 or something. And you can even write a check for that. But as far as all those other fees that run into the hundreds of dollars, is waived by using that form indigent status. So remember that and good luck. Give it a try because it definitely works. Don't let people think that you're ignorant and that they can get over on you because they will do it. Individuals and businesses, they will do it if you allow them to. Don't allow them to do it, okay? Just Google everything if you have to, but let them know you're no dummy and, get what you're entitled to. All right, goodbye.